How about them Cowboys? Angry Cowboys fan. Oh, born to battle. Hey, hey. Start just means we never sell. America's team through thick and thin. Hey, hey. When the sun shines bright, that's where we win. Angry Cowboys fan.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation and Angry Cowboys fans around the world? Y'all know who it is. It's your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. And on this morning's episode of Get Up, Mike Greenberg cleared out all the other talking heads out of the studio to make way for one of the Dallas Cowboys' most decorated, most distinguished quarterbacks in team history. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Ring of Honor recipient, and Hall of Famer, Troy Aikman. They spoke about different teams around the league, but y'all know that we ain't here to talk about different teams around the league. We're here to talk about our Dallas Cowboys, and he had a number of interesting things to say, Cowboys Nation. So we're going to take a listen to the 3 clips that I got for y'all, and y'all know what we're going to do. We're going to come back and unpack this raw and uncut. So, Angry Cowboys fans, let's take a listen to the first clip between Mike Greenberg and Troy Aikman on this morning's episode of Get Up.
So let's start with the Cowboys, your longtime team. They made a lot of defensive acquisitions during this offseason, which obviously was necessary. I guess the big question is, do we think their defense will be better enough or enough better that they can finally get back to where they haven't been since you were there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that is the big question. They can only get better. I do, and it's early, I understand that, but I do like the hire of Christian Parker. I think sometimes you bring in a young assistant who now is getting his opportunity after having coached under some really good people over the course of his career. He comes in with a good resume. All indications are that the players are excited about it. I think what they've done, starting with the draft to address some of those needs on the defense, has been positive. What I think Greeny gets lost a little bit, the offense was so prolific last year, and then you've got a healthy Dak Prescott. And unfortunately for them, we saw it with Joe Burrow and the Bengals a couple of years ago. When you have that kind of play at the quarterback position, typically that means good things when the season comes to an end, and yet for Dallas, they failed to even make the postseason. Can that offense continue to play at the level that they did last year? And that's a big if. It was one of Dak Prescott's best years. It was George Pickens' career year. It was Javonte Williams' career year. I mean, there was a lot that happened on the offensive side of the ball. The numbers may not look as good. In fact, I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you hope the offensive numbers don't look as good, because that would then mean that the defense is better and playing a much bigger role in the success of that team.
You know, Cowboys Nation, I sometimes wonder if Troy Aikman has to keep it impartial when it comes to giving the Dallas Cowboys advice. I mean, we kind of seen it with the Miami Dolphins actually going public and acquiring Troy Aikman as an advisor, just to reconstruct the Miami Dolphins front office, but they actually hired him. Jerry Jones is expected to get free advice from a guy who helped him get 3 Super Bowl rings. And if Troy is going to give that surface level criticism, like, if they want the full version, you gotta pay for the full version. This is only the demo version right now, you know what I'm saying? But, Troy Aikman being in a role with the Dallas Cowboys like an advisor to Brian Schottenheimer or even Jerry Jones himself, well, I guess that would mean that Jerry would have to admit that he needed help, and we all know that's not gonna happen. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the second clip so we can come back and talk about it. Roll the clip.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pickens. The way that seems to be working out, and we haven't really heard from him yet.
Right.
But the way it appears, he signed the franchise tag. It looks like he's going to play and give it a prove-it year. And so, look, if that defense, the way I look at it, and I've made the same comparison to the Joe Burrow Bengals, if they can just become average on defense, they could be dangerous.
Well, there's no question. And I do think, as it relates to George Pickens,
yeah,
he comes in, he knows he's in a contract year, he puts up a huge year, and I know that all players would feel this way. They would then expect to be rewarded for that, and it's a letdown then when you get the franchise tag. So I would have to believe that George is less than thrilled about that he wanted a long-term contract. That also, Stephen Jones comes out and says that they are not going to sign him to a long-term contract. So what does that do for his frame of mind as far as him going into this season? Time will tell. But if he can go out and have the year that he had last year, along with CD, and keep him healthier than what he was, yeah, they won't need a lot out of that defense. And I would expect that for those that are optimistic and feel like you said, hey, if they're just average, I would believe that this is a defense that at minimum would be average.
You know, Cowboys Nation, I got this feeling that George Pickens is going to play by the books when it comes to showing up to what he has to show up to, you know, the mandatory mini camps and to the training camps. I think he's going to be a Boy Scout, and he's going to have a monster year this year. It's just to put Jerry and Stephen Jones in a pickle, to put that fire under their ass. I just hope he gets the deal done before July 15th. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Let's not go through all the drama, through all the rigmarole, and let's just go ahead and get this damn contract done. I also agree with Troy Aikman on his take about Christian Parker. I also believe that this defense can, at minimum, be average for the Dallas Cowboys this year. We'll get into that more during the Raw and Uncut portion, so make sure you stick around for that. Now let's go ahead and jump into the third clip so we can come back and unpack this Raw and Uncut.
You know what just jumped into my head as you were talking, because I was thinking, I always remember when John Elway retired and he was thanking players and he mentioned Shannon Sharpe and he said, I know you're open, I know you're open, I know you're... Like, receivers are always open. When you're the quarterback, and in this case, he's got like two studs. Let's say Pickens is there and playing well. And you got CD. And both of them, I have to imagine, you're sitting on the sideline and they're both, one's in one ear and one's in the other saying, I'm wide open, I'm wide open. What's that like as a quarterback?
Well, I only had one. That was Michael Irvin.
Right.
Michael was the only one who was lobbying for the ball.
Yeah.
But I think that Dak handles it really well. If you're, and him being a veteran guy, and I think also his leadership skills comes out in those situations because, all receivers, they do want the ball. The running backs want the ball. And as a quarterback, especially when you're as prolific as what they were last year, there's a lot of conversation. But I think Dak manages that exceptionally well. And also a credit to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I felt that last year they were on the same page from day one. And there was always a question, I think, when they came in and when they picked up Pickens as to what was that dynamic going to be between those two. Was CeeDee going to be upset that maybe you've got another number one receiver in many people's eyes coming in, and yet those two, by all accounts, worked well together. And then, of course, the play on the field spoke for itself. So I think it was a good setup, and Dak, again, he's been a facilitator, and he's done a great job of it.
I think about it, being a facilitator to two top 10 wide receivers, that got to be a lot, Cowboys Nation, because coming from a former wide receiver myself, Mike Greenberg is absolutely right. We are always open. Even if we got somebody draped on the shoulder, we are always open. Go ahead, toss that ball up. I'll bring it home for you, all right? We want the ball on every snap. We want to take the ball to the crib every time we touch it, every time we get the ball in our hands. But, that's the life of a receiver. But y'all ready for this Raw and Uncut? Y'all ready? Let's get it. Get ready for the Angry Cowboys fans, Raw and Uncut.
I'm being keeping it real. They keep it real. That's real.
Cowboys Nation, I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. This Dallas Cowboys team needs to be different this year. It needs to be competitive this year. The offense needs to take a step forward this year. I don't care if it was top 5 last year. It's not a given that it's going to be top 5 this year. You got to put in the work to maintain such an output for the offensive side of the ball. Plus, Brian Schottenheimer's going to have to elevate his play calling. I don't want last year to be a ceiling for the Dallas Cowboys offense. I want it to be the floor. So it's going to take more than the talent on the team to get the dubs during the games this year, to get consistent dubs during the games. But one issue that I've had ever since Brandon Aubrey joined this team was that when the Dallas Cowboys get to midfield, whoever's the offensive coordinator is, his play calling becomes conservative. They know that Brandon Aubrey can hit it from the logo, so when it was Mike McCarthy or under Brian Schottenheimer, it gets conservative. No, you got to keep your foot on the gas. I want Brian Schottenheimer to think of the field goal as the last possible option to the offensive drive. Call the plays like the ones you called to get your ass to midfield. Continue to be aggressive to get to the red zone, and then make up creative schemes, creative play calling in the red zone. We have the talent to be able to punch it in from 20 yards out. At the end of the day, it's going to take creative play design and creative scheme to punch it in for 6. As far as the defense is concerned, I truly feel there's going to be a difference between last year and this year when it comes to the defense. I have a feeling that Christian Parker's going to be able to reach these guys when it comes to the defensive back rooms. We got the speed, we got the athleticism, we got the power to slow the bleeding down in the run game, and we have some promising talent at the pass rusher position. It's going to come down to Christian Parker and if he can come up with schemes that can put his players in advantageous situations, in situations to succeed. I believe that he can, Cowboys Nation. I believe he won't be as stingy with simulated pressure as Matt Eberflus was. Our corners may not be playing press man every single down, but I believe that they'll be taught the fundamentals to play off ball into coverage. The Dallas Cowboys have a bunch of teachers for coaches on this team this year. There's no buddies who needed a job, nobody that you picked up from the bar and promised them a job on the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of technicians in the coaching roles this year, and I feel like the players on the defense will be able to benefit from said coaching situations. But I agree with Troy Aikman. The defense should be able to be at least average under Christian Parker. Turnovers are pretty common in the NFL nowadays, just as Jalen Hurts. He's had so much turnover at the offensive coordinator position. But one year, the defense looks like Swiss cheese for the Dallas Cowboys, but the next year, the defensive coordinator comes in and has the defense succeeding. Example, Mike Nolan to Dan Quinn. But the Dallas Cowboys' success will really boil down to what Brian Schottenheimer is able to do, how he's able to evolve in that offensive coordinator role, and how Christian Parker will take on the defensive coordinator role for our Dallas Cowboys. I mean, we know what the offense is capable of. We know what the players on the offense is capable of. We know how Dak Prescott could just air the ball out to George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb. We know that Javonte Williams can run his ass off, and they know that they have a dominant interior offensive line. We just need Brian Schottenheimer to command the talent and have them running on all cylinders in 2026. Also, Christian Parker has the pressure on him this season. And judging from his demeanor during press conferences and the interviews that he's had with Dallas Cowboys media, he seems to fare well under pressure. So I'm seeing this Dallas Cowboys team making a successful turn this year. But already having a pretty good foundation to start out with on the defensive side of the ball, that's a tremendous help for Christian Parker. The fact that we've got a Quinnen Williams and a Kenny Clark. The fact that we have a DeMarvion Overshown who's more than 18 months removed from his knee injury. The fact that Siobhan Revel Jr. is already 1 year removed from his own knee injury. Hopefully Deron Bland can stay healthy this year. Hopefully that foot doesn't bother him. But the acquisitions of P.J. Locke and Jalen Thompson and Kobe Durant and D. Winters, no one can say that the Dallas Cowboys didn't upgrade on the defensive side of the ball, allowing players like Jack Sanborn or Kenneth Murray Jr. to hit free agency. The turnover at the safety position. I feel this Dallas Cowboys team is going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. I'm not saying Super Bowl run. I'm not even saying a deep playoff run. But you will see a stark difference from last year when it comes to this year. But this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. Cowboys Nation, do you believe that this Dallas Cowboys team has what it takes to make a run this year? Who has more pressure on them to succeed, Brian Schottenheimer or Christian Parker? Y'all know how we do. We always talk about it in the comments section. If you're digging this content and you want to help the channel reach its current goal of 20,000 subscribers, drop a like on this video, share it with anybody that you know is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and if you're on your mobile device and you haven't used them up yet, make sure you hype this video. Doing so will help get the content out to Cowboys Nation. They'll come over to the Angry Cowboys Fan YouTube channel and want to become Angry Cowboys fans themselves. And if you are DC for life and you believe in our Dallas Cowboys this year, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to be notified whenever I go live, release another video, podcast episode, or film breakdowns. You can catch the Madden 26 or College Football 26 gameplay on my other channel, the Angry Cowboys Fan Gaming Channel. I'll make sure I put the link to that as well as the gamer tag in the description. I just wish that Jerry Jones would just swallow his pride and just go ahead and hire Troy Aikman to be a consultant to the team so he can help bring a championship back to this damn team. He helped you get a championship. He helped you get 3 championships, brought the Lombardi back to the Dallas Cowboys. While the Miami Dolphins are just reaping the benefits of having him on their staff, the Dallas Cowboys are still leaning on their own understanding because we all know that the Jones boys are the smartest guys in the room. But this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. 1 or 2 today, and I'm out. Dang, Angry Cowboys fan, you done made it through the entire video. But if you want more content, you can definitely go to this video right here. Or if you want the latest episode of the Angry Cowboys Fan podcast, you can go right here. But whatever you do, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, but remain DC for life.